So, very big welcome to everyone, and yeah, it's an evening of meditation and ritual. We'll be doing some mantra chanting, and we'll be doing a green Tara Puja, which some of you may know, written by Vessantara. And I thought I might share some thoughts or reflections around green Tara. Sorry. In the question and answers, that was coming up a little bit about the figures and the ritual, the archetypal figures, and forming our own relationships with them, and them being a bit mysterious. But also, I thought I might just say something a little bit about some of Green Tara's qualities. We'd look at some images of her. And we're going to chant her mantra, but we're going to chant a few different versions of her mantra, maybe 2 or 3 tonight. So Paramanda was talking quite a lot about image yesterday, I think it was. And of course, a mantra is an image in the way that he was using it, where you've got the sort of the symbol, the archetype, and the different layers of meaning, and it kind of connects on a not so rational cognitive level, that we have that connection. It resonates with us. So music, mantra, I think do fall into his idea of what image is. So we can have the visual image of Tara, from a rupa or from tanka paintings, and we can also have a sound image of Tara through a mantra. And the mantras are supposed to not just be a figure's name in a way of calling them and connecting to them, but that's also like a sound symbol of enlightenment, really. And of course, with Tara, we're told that we just need to call on her and she'll respond. She's famous for saving people from the 8 great terrors, and from fear, but also just responding to suffering in the world. So her posture, and we've talked about posture as image as well, and our relationship to the world, relationship to ourselves, and what we're expressing. That our body expresses something in the posture. We're kind of making a gesture, connecting with the world and reality. And if we look at all the archetypal Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they all have a particular posture, and they also have things they're doing with their hands, their mudras, and a whole lot of images and symbols associated with them. Yeah. And it may be that one or another of the associated symbols speak to us and draw us in, and different things will draw different people in, or draw the same person in at different times. So as Pawan was saying, like just the colour green, as a symbol, and has all kinds of resonance and associations. He was particularly emphasising green as being connected with life and the life force, and of course green is growing things, and so it's kind of often associated with nature. He talked about the green man, the green woman. Well, Tara is in a way like the earth goddess. She's very much associated with things that are growing. And it's interesting because she has what do you call it, a little bough or sprig of which has got lotus blossoms on, and there's one bud that's tight, there's one that's half open, and one that's fully open, and that can be a symbol for us on our spiritual journey, our spiritual path, but it's not like linear. We create the conditions where that tight bud maybe can begin to open and flower, but we also we also sorry, I'm just getting distracted, so I need to just looking up. Okay, so yeah, so we have the symbol of the lotus in those different stages. You know, the tight bud, half open, fully blossomed. But what I was saying is it's not just linear, that we start off with a tight bud and then we end up as a full blossom. And I think what's interesting with Tara is she's got them all happening at the same time. And I think that's a bit like us and our lives. There's certain bits of ourselves that we haven't even begun to look at or develop or change or transform. And there's other bits of ourselves that may have, we may have put more attention to. There's been more growth, more development of our potential. And there's other bits where we're in progress, but it's all happening at the same time. So I think that's quite interesting about Tara. And of course her actual posture, she's sitting part in meditation posture, and then half of her is her hands reaching out and her leg is about to step down into the world. So in a way, the things that we've been, well, Paramanda has been talking about the outer world and the inner world and our relationship with the world and reality and us being manifestations and then not being separate, even if that's how we may experience it at times. In a way, her posture embodies both sides at the same time. You know, she's very firmly rooted, you know, sitting still, meditating, and there's a more dynamic aspect of her that's reaching out in relationship to others, and in relationship to the world as she's stepping down. And you can do both, and the two together in a way complement each other. So yeah, so compassionate activity is something that Tara was particularly associated with. Green Tara particularly, but that doesn't mean to say there's no wisdom there. You know, it may be more emphasized in White Tara, but Green Tara, well, with compassion, it can't be true compassion if there's no wisdom there. And it wouldn't be true wisdom if it wasn't compassionate. So she has the two sides there, and the action. So sometimes enlightenment's described in terms of compassion, wisdom and energy, and I think she encompasses all three of those in a very dynamic way. Through her posture she expresses all of those. But yeah, she's supposed to be very approachable, and I guess with that there's that sort of implication that she's not judging, she's just there for us whenever we need her, however we are at that particular time. And if there's fear there, if there's terror there, she's there to kind of help us, you know. Her name can be translated as star, her name can be translated as, like, I think, to ferry across, with that implication of ferrying across to from samsara to nirvana. But it's, you know, like Paramanda says, with these figures, there's all kinds of symbols and we can understand a literal level of them. But there's layers and layers and layers of meaning, and some of the responses we will have, some of the understandings we have are not cognitive, they're not rational. It's just something that speaks to us energetically in our heart, in our body. And we don't necessarily know why. Someone was asking about how one creates or comes into relationship with these figures, and I think my experience is those figures that I do feel a particular relationship with, it's been different with each one. And some came very early on when I didn't really know anything about Buddhism or about these figures. I remember I was actually on a counselling residential, I was training as a counsellor, and somebody led a visualization, and I had this image of a dark blue Buddha. I didn't even know there was a dark blue Buddha, you know. But it had a very strong impression on me, and when I came back and I met someone and was talking with someone who was a Buddhist, I said, oh, that's like Shobhya. And they said, you should read this book. And they handed me Vessantara's Meeting the Buddhas, and I read a bit about him, and it was a little bit beyond me, but there were certain things about him that really spoke to me, and I could understand why I might feel drawn connection, because I was working with a lot of self-hatred and a lot of anger and resentment, and he's about transforming hatred and ill will, and he has this mirror-like wisdom that I found really helpful, and lots of things about him, including the colour, really appealed to me. Elephants, for instance. So that was my way into Akshobhya when I didn't even know he existed. It was almost like he chose me. He created that relationship in a very mysterious way. And then over the years, as I've got more and more acquainted with him, more and more into relationship with him, that's never changed, that initial contact. But and there's other figures where it's been very different. I saw on the resources page for this retreat, there's a talk I did called something like Being in Reality, where I talk a little bit about how I came into relationship with White Tara. But sometimes people dream about the figures, or sometimes people just see a really lovely statue or image, or they hear the mantra. I fell completely in love with Red Tara through hearing her mantra, for instance. But for, and some people, they don't feel a connection to these figures. And I think you can't force it. Or it may be more mysterious, it may be more oblique or more subtle. Anyone who knows me know that I wear an awful lot of dark blue, because that's Akshobhya's colour, and he's the particular Buddha that I'm associated with, though I do love all the Buddhas in the mandala of the five Buddhas, and have connections with some other figures like Padmasambhava, Tara, and but yeah, just certain things they're associated with, like the time of day or the element, sometimes will be a way of feeling in connection with them. And they sometimes, to me, when I need to work on something and they embody a particular approach or particular qualities that it would be helpful for me to develop a bit more, then sometimes they come more into my life. Without me actually asking, it's almost like they're saying, hang on a minute, this would be helpful. Anyway, that's a little aside, because mainly I just wanted to talk a little bit about Green Tara, and then we're going to do a Green Tara mantra and a period of just sitting, and then probably have a little wee 5-minute leg stretch, and then we'll do Green Tara mantra, which is also like a sevenfold mantra, so it's got similar equivalent stages to the sevenfold puja that we're more familiar with. And Paramanda mentioned like tomorrow being a significant day on the retreat, like day 3, when it maybe begins to bite a bit. You might feel a bit of resistance, you might feel a bit of anxiety or fear about stuff that's coming up. Maybe you don't, but that is quite common. So it feels like it'd be quite good to form that connection with Green Tara, and in a way have her there as a presence on the retreat that we can all call on if things get tough, and just know that she's there for us. And this particular puja, which is written by Vessantara, the confession section, has got an awful lot about confessing all one's fears and the things that get in the way of our practice, which to me, I think I resonate with almost everything that he mentions in that, so it feels like it's really good to get that out of my system. So we're going to do this Green Tara puja, which will also have Green Tara mantras in as well. So that's the plan. So we're going to have a slideshow with some images of Green Tara, and maybe while we're looking at that, well, first of all we'll look at it in silence, then I'll start the mantra, and then when the mantra fades away we could do some just sitting, and then after that we'll have a wee break and do the puja. Om Tare, Tu Tare Ture Swaha. 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 Just sitting. We'll just have a brief leg stretch, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll have the puja. Okay, so welcome back, and now we're going to do Midnight Star, a Puja to Tara, written by Vessantara. And we'll do it in call and response, and we will have a couple of green Tara mantras, which if you'd like to get up and do offerings during, well, if you want to do offerings at any point during the puja, you can get up and do it. Nobody will know, you won't disturb anybody. Yeah, so we'll do it in call and response, and we'll have a couple of Tara mantras. And I think, yeah, just see if any of the words, or the images, or the mantras speak to you, help you connect with Queen Tara. But otherwise, just think that we're evoking her. So the images in the slideshow, some of them very traditional or stylized, a couple more modern ones. Some of them may have appealed to you. None of them may have appealed to you. But they're not really Green Tara. They're just some people's versions of Green Tara, and you can create your own version in your own mind, in your own heart. It might not be visual. There may be a sense of presence. There may be something of connecting with some of those qualities she has. Anyway, just settling down, and in a moment we'll begin. Worship. Heart of compassion.
Heart of compassion.
For whom no thought of self.
For whom no thought of self
could ever arise.
Could ever arise.
Committed to the welfare of the world.
Committed to the welfare of the world.
You encourage your devotees.
You encourage your devotees.
To express their love for you.
To express their love for you.
By serving all beings.
By serving all beings.
So, out of devotion to you.
So, out of devotion to you.
I offer to all beings.
I offer to all beings.
The fruits of your heart.
The fruits of your heart.
To each individual being.
To each individual being.
I give without end.
I give without end.
Cool lakes and rivers.
Cool lakes and rivers.
So they may bathe in your compassion.
So they may bathe in your compassion.
Sweet food and drink.
Sweet food and drink.
So they may feast on your compassion.
So that they may feast on your compassion.
The sun, moon and stars.
The sun, moon and stars.
So they may be lit by your compassion.
So that they may be lit by your compassion.
Rich breezes.
Rich breezes.
Full of perfume and flower scents.
Full of perfume and flower scents.
So they may breathe your compassion.
So that they may breathe your compassion.
Music of birds and instruments.
Music of birds and instruments.
So their minds may be filled with your compassion.
So their minds may be filled with your compassion.
Om Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Swaha.
Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Tare Tu Swaha. Om Dare tu re 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 swaha.
Salutation. Midnight star,
Midnight star,
lighting up the northern sky
lighting up the northern sky
with the brilliance of your love.
with the brilliance of your love.
You who are worshipped,
You who are worshipped,
even by the loving gods,
even by the loving gods.
to Tara I pay homage.
To Tara I pay homage.
Sweet breath of all the Buddhas,
Sweet breath of all the Buddhas,
perfuming the world
perfuming the world
with the scent of your compassion.
with the scent of your compassion.
You who are worshipped,
You who are worshipped,
even by the compassionate gods,
even by the compassionate gods.
to Tara I pay homage.
To Tara I pay homage.
Great archer of the Sugatas,
Great archer of the Sugatas,
striking down the hydra heads of jealousy
striking down the hydra heads of jealousy
with the unfailing arrows
with the unfailing arrows
of your sympathetic joy.
of your sympathetic joy.
You who are worshipped,
You who are worshipped,
even by the joyful gods,
even by the joyful gods.
to Tara I pay homage.
To Tara I pay homage.
Victory banner of the supreme Dharma,
Victory banner of the supreme Dharma,
raised standard of the victorious ones,
raised standards of the victorious ones,
planted in the firm soil of equanimity.
planted in the firm soil of equanimity.
You who are worshipped,
You who are worshipped,
even by the equanimous gods,
even by the equanimous gods.
to Tara I pay homage.
To Tara I pay homage.
Going for refuge.
Good.
Mysterious Queen,
Mysterious Queen,
in the deep midnight of despair,
in the deep midnight of despair,
when there is no safety,
when there is no safety,
no clarity,
no clarity,
no certainty,
no certainty,
you appear.
you appear.
With your gift bestowing hand,
With your gift bestowing hand,
you hold the double Vajra,
you hold the double Vajra,
in which all opposites unite.
in which all opposites unite.
May I accept the wisdom that you offer.
May I accept the wisdom that you offer.
See beyond the prison of duality,
See beyond the prison of duality,
and emulate your still activity.
and emulate your still activity,
where samsara and nirvana
where samsara and nirvana
fuse and disappear.
fuse and disappear.
There I go for refuge,
There I go for refuge,
where birth and death
where birth and death
fuse and disappear.
fuse and disappear.
There I go for refuge,
There I go for refuge,
where wisdom and compassion
where wisdom and compassion
fuse and appear everywhere.
fuse and appear everywhere.
There I go for refuge.
There I go for refuge.
Confession of Faults. Fearless lady,
Fearless lady,
powerful queen,
powerful queen,
you who save beings from the 8 great terrors,
you who save beings from the 8 great terrors,
please rescue me
please rescue me
from the 1008 fears and anxieties that possess my mind.
from the 1008 fears and anxieties which possess my mind.
Before you I confess
Before you I confess
to all the commonplace worries and anxieties
to all the commonplace worries and anxieties
that fill my day,
that fill my day,
so that I rarely take an easy breath.
so I rarely take an easy breath.
The fear that stops me trying,
The fear that stops me trying,
the fear that creates a facade,
the fear that creates a facade,
the fear of being with others,
the fear of being with others,
the fear of being alone,
the fear of being alone,
the fear that makes me harsh, tight and unkind,
the fear that makes me harsh, tight and unkind,
the fear of not getting what I want,
the fear of not getting what I want,
that makes me grabbing and self-concerned.
that makes me grabbing and self-concerned.
Before you I confess
Before you I confess
the deep fears,
the deep fears,
fear of madness,
fear of madness,
fear of death,
fear of death,
fear of life,
fear of life,
fear of anything beyond the tortoise shell
fear of anything beyond the tortoise shell
of my own ego.
of my own ego.
Before you I confess,
Before you I confess,
most of all,
most of all,
the fears that hold me back
the fears that hold me back
from giving myself to the Dharma,
from giving myself to the Dharma,
fear of commitment to the path,
fear of commitment to the path,
fear of change,
fear of change,
fear of renunciation,
fear of renunciation,
fear of generosity,
fear of generosity,
fear of courage,
fear of courage,
fear of going deeper,
fear of going deeper,
fear of freedom,
fear of freedom,
fear of wisdom,
fear of wisdom,
fear of devoting myself to all beings.
fear of devoting myself to all beings.
These fears did not arise by themselves.
These fears did not arise by themselves.
They stem from a million choices and acts in many lives.
They stem from a million choices in acts of many lives.
Choosing unawareness,
Choosing unawareness,
choosing lack of courage,
choosing lack of courage,
choosing to bury my head in samsara,
choosing to bury my head in samsara,
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
And help me to lay these fears at your feet.
And help me to lay these fears at your feet.
May you pacify them all.
May you pacify them all.
O loving Tara,
O loving Tara,
please take my shaking hand in yours.
please take my shaking hand in yours.
And gently form it.
And gently form it.
Into the mudra of fearlessness.
Into the mudra of fearlessness.
Rejoicing in merits. O joyful Tara,
O joyful Tara,
Titans rejoice in their own conquests.
Titans rejoice in their own conquests.
Their one source of happiness is themselves.
Their one source of happiness is themselves.
You rejoice in the good deeds of all beings.
You rejoice in the good deeds of all beings.
So you have infinite sources of delight.
So you have infinite sources of delight.
Fearlessly and free from envy,
Fearlessly and free from envy.
I rejoice in the achievements
I rejoice in the achievements
of all those who bring beauty, peace and courage to the world.
of all those who bring peace, beauty and courage to the world.
Fearlessly and free from envy,
Fearlessly and free from envy.
I rejoice in the spiritual heroes and heroines,
I rejoice in the spiritual heroes and heroines,
those victorious ones
those victorious ones
who conquer self-conceit.
who conquer self-conceit.
Fearlessly and free from envy,
Fearlessly and free from envy.
I rejoice in you,
I rejoice in you,
the Emerald Goddess,
the Emerald Goddess,
and in your endless selfless activity
and in your endless selfless activity
that accomplishes all deeds.
that accomplishes all deeds.
Fearlessly and free from envy,
Fearlessly and free from envy.
I rejoice in your intimate care for the world,
I rejoice in your intimate care for the world,
so that every leaf,
so that every leaf,
every blade of grass
every blade of grass
is soaked with the green of your compassion.
is soaked with the green of your compassion.
Entreaty and supplication. Love travels faster than sound,
Love travels faster than sound,
swifter than light.
swifter than light.
It traverses the galaxy in a moment.
It traverses the galaxy in a moment.
O Queen of great compassion,
O Queen of great compassion,
wherever your love is needed,
wherever your love is needed,
it is instantly there.
'tis instantly there.
Caught in the hurricane of suffering,
Caught in the hurricane of suffering,
its winds tearing at my body and mind,
its winds tearing at my body and mind,
I have only to call your name.
I have only to call your name.
Tara, Tara, Tara.
Tara, Tara, Tara.
And the gales of longing and fear are pacified.
And the gales of longing and fear are pacified.
Who could have imagined
Who could have imagined
that those two tiny syllables
that those two tiny syllables
could contain so much love?
could contain so much love,
Tender love,
tender love,
fearless love,
fearless love,
the love of all the Buddhas.
the love of all the Buddhas.
May I and all beings
May I and all beings
always call on you.
always call on you.
Tara, Tara, Tara.
Tara, Tara, Tara.
And in response,
And in response,
may you shower the Dharma
may you shower the Dharma
of your great love
of your great love
instantly
instantly
upon us all.
upon us all.
Dedication. May the merits of this praise
May the merits of this praise
ring out like a Vajra bell,
ring out like a Vajra bell,
playing always Tara's name,
playing always Tara's name,
the gentle heartbeat of compassion.
the gentle heartbeat of compassion.
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
echoing through time and space.
echoing through time and space.
May your sounding never cease,
May your sounding never cease,
its voyage out beyond the stars.
its voyage out beyond the stars.
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
rescuing beings in every realm.
rescuing beings in every realm.
May your sounding never cease,
May your sounding never cease,
until all suffering has gone.
until all suffering has gone.
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
Vajra bell of Tara's love,
ringing gently in my heart.
ringing gently in my heart.
May your sounding never cease,
May your sounding never cease,
till you and I
till you and I
are one at last.
are one at last.
Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare,
Tutare, tu re swa. Om tare, tu tare, 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 tu re swa.
We'll have 10 minutes of just sitting to end this session. So thank you all, and we'll end there. So go well, and Armandaba will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. UK time. I don't know what time that is for everyone else.